seeing reliable polling between these two, Truss and Sunak. And it does look like Truss is actually ahead, both in the general public and amongst Conservative Party members. Is that correct?
Well, it depends on where you look at it and which questions you ask. Certainly among Conservative Party members, this most important constituency that's up and coming, you're right, Mercy, they do indeed seem to be leaning towards Truss. It's around about sort of 60-40 at the moment, which is close to the margin of victory that we've seen in previous membership contests the Conservative Party have run. They don't tend to be a close-run thing when indeed they do take place. Among the general public, the situation is more complicated. The reason it's more complicated is that a lot of people still say they don't know. And that's really understandable, given that for many people out there, they will not have heard of Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak. They might not know much about them. If anything they do know, it's likely to be one or two things. And certainly neither of the candidates has been subjected to the kind of scrutiny or indeed the kind of airtime that they're up against at the moment and will be for the next few weeks. And so at the moment, when you ask the general public which candidate they prefer, it's Rishi Sunak who wins out just, but with a large number of people who say don't know. Then when you ask those people who say they don't know if they were forced to choose who they would go to, essentially the result becomes neck and neck. But of course, there's the difference between the general public and the Conservative supporters, whether it's people who support the Conservatives at the moment or people who voted for the Conservatives in 2019. Among both those groups, again, once you remove the don't knows, Liz Truss is ahead, but it's not by much. And so certainly at the moment, with so much still to go, it's all to play for.
I mean, the electorate has already taken place really among MPs who picked the last two, and now it goes to Conservative membership. But a lot of people will be casting this forward when the electorate is the general public and how either of those candidates might fare in a general election. And the ghost of Boris seems to be haunting this campaign, with a general feeling that actually neither of them pass muster when it comes to filling his boots.
Yeah, one of the paradoxes of this whole process is that when you ask the general public, but also when you ask these key Conservative groups, whether it's Conservative supporters or former Conservative voters or Conservative voters at the moment, when you ask them who they think should take hold of the Prime Minister's job, then yes, they say Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak, but it's evenly divided. When you ask them whether it was a good thing or a bad thing that Boris Johnson resigned, more people in all cases say it was a good thing that he resigned than a bad thing. But when you then repeat the question about who would be the best leader, Boris Johnson comes top if you include him. So we can conclude from that both the general public and many within the Conservative Party supporting ranks believe that, yes, on balance, it was a good thing that Boris Johnson did leave, but they remain very unconvinced by any of the people to replace him.
And in leaving aside sort of the characters and the individuals themselves, what issues are people saying they want to be hearing about when it comes to who is going to be the next leader? Because we know they're going head-to-head a bit later on today. What are the top issues at the moment?
Well, again, it depends on which group you're talking to. If you're talking to the general public and Conservative voters, then it's very much the cost of living. That is the most important issue facing the country. It's the most important issue facing people and their families. But if you focus just on the constituency that's actually important in the short term, those Conservative members, they say the most important issue is simply winning the next general election, but of course you would expect that. But then below that, you see talk of immigration being the next most important issue, followed by the cost of living, followed by Britain's place in the world post-Brexit. And so it's immigration, if you like, of those three that is the most important. And it doesn't surprise me, given that both candidates will be doing their own polling, it doesn't surprise me that that's what drove the headlines this morning in the papers, all the discussion about what they're going to do about immigration, or at least what they claim they're going to do. And I imagine that will play a big part in the debate tonight.